gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Secretary of Transportation, Mary Peters.
Thank you. Bobby, thanks so much for that kind introduction, and thank all of you for being here at this very, very important conference. Before I begin with my remarks on the forecast, I want to address some media reports of serious allegations that FAA inspectors knew about safety lapses and yet allowed them to continue. These stories raise questions about the safety of our aviation system, and let me start by saying the best way to measure the effectiveness of any safety system is to closely examine the data that is available to you. And the data that we have today tells us that commercial aviation is safer than it has ever been before. And that fact is due to a lot of you in this room, but certainly the FAA staff as well. And indeed, the most recent data from the National Transportation Safety Board shows that U.S. airlines had a 0.1, this is 0.1, major accidents for every million hours flown, and that confirms the fact that we are in the safest period of aviation that we have ever experienced. But yet, as encouraging as the safety data is, these are significant allegations, and we need to address them quickly and thoroughly. We take very seriously any allegation from within the FAA or outside the agency that safety may have been compromised. And that is why I have asked FAA Acting Administrator Sturgell and his entire leadership team to get to the bottom of these allegations and find out if there is any merit to them at all. If any inspector failed in his or her responsibilities to the traveling public, they will be dealt with swiftly and severely. There is simply no margin for error when it comes to the safety of our aviation system.
Aero-TV is brought to you by...
Today, there is an affordable, high-performance, easy-to-own and easy-to-operate very light jet designed with you in mind. Far less expensive than any other twin-engine jet to buy, it is also the least expensive to own and operate. It is the Eclipse 500, the jet that's easy to buy, easy to fly, and fun to own. The jet for you.
Now, back to Aero-TV.
Now let me turn to the forecast. At this point in the day, you've heard the numbers already, and they are astonishing numbers. We know that the passengers are coming, over 1 billion passengers by 2016. And we know that by 2025, revenue passenger miles are expected to more than double, increasing by an average of 50 billion a year. That's the equivalent of adding another carrier the size of Northwest to the system every 18 months. We know that even a slowing economy and record oil prices, and they certainly are record prices, we're looking at passenger growth of another 1.5% this year in spite of those facts. We also know that our aviation system is straining to handle the 2 million passengers who already take to the skies on a daily basis. Last year's congested skies brought a 10% spike in delays, and in pure numbers, we're talking about more than 540,000 flights that did not take off or land on time. That's an all-time record, albeit a rather dubious record, and one I know we together do not want to meet or exceed in the future. Now, if you flew in 2007, there was a better than 1 in 4 chance that your flight arrived late. Even more troubling, the severity of those delays, the ones that flyers faced, reached an unprecedented level. Almost 1,600 flights took off more than 3 hours late, up 24% from the year 2006. As delays have increased, so too have consumer complaints. We heard from over 13,000 unhappy airline passengers last year, and most complaints were related to flight problems, delays, cancellations, and misconnections. Americans who lived through one of the worst travel seasons ever in 2007 might look at our forecast and fear that new travel nightmares are in their future. But I'm here to tell you that growth forecasts do not have to mean worsening congestion and lengthening delays for travelers. I'm here with a rather different kind of forecast as I talk to you today. We can look forward to dependable flight schedules, on-time departures, and arrivals. We can put an end to the emissions, wasted fuel, and passenger headaches that come from lengthy delays on the tarmac. And we can have an aviation system that safely handles the growing number of passengers who want to fly across the country and indeed around the world. Key to this forecast is unleashing the power of the market to better allocate capacity and to steer investment decisions.
Aero-TV is brought to you by Cirrus aircraft have always been easy to fly. Now they're easier than ever to buy. A complete line of ownership programs gives you everything you need to purchase, trade, finance, lease, insure, and warranty your Cirrus. There's even an ownership program for non-pilots. The Cirrus Access Pilot can teach you how to fly or fly the plane for you. Find out more at www.cirrusdesign.com. Cirrus, for the love of flying. Now, back to Aero-TV.
Pricing is the quickest, the most effective approach to help spread flights throughout the delay and alleviate congestion at peak hours. But it can also generate new revenues that airports can use to expand and accommodate the forecasted passenger growth. And properly pricing traffic services to cost can help us ensure the most efficient use of airports, airfields, and airspace, and provide the surest path to expanded capacity and put desperately needed technology in place. There's nothing exotic about this approach at all. In fact, phone and electric companies balance supply and demand by adjusting their rates during peak usage hours. It is this very concept that led to free nights and weekends from cellular providers. Airlines themselves smooth out peak and valleys in demand by varying ticket prices by time of day and day of the week. And applying this same concept to the services provided by airports and air traffic control services has tremendous potential to make today's broken system more predictable, more reliable, and of course more convenient to travelers. Over a year ago, we sent Congress a very comprehensive plan for transforming our aviation system to meet not just today's, but tomorrow's demands as well. A central part of that reform was overhaul of FAA's financing structure so that we could provide price incentives for system users to reduce delays and to facilitate equipping our aviation system with modern next-gen technology. Our proposal features provisions to specifically target the most congested regions with market-based mechanisms such as congestion pricing, auctions, and to reduce airport delays and crowded airspace. And I continue to stand ready to work with Congress to help pass an FAA reauthorization bill that is consistent with the administration's reform proposals. Gridlock gates underscore the need for a new way forward, replacing the status quo systems, policies, and taxes that have produced the current congestion crisis. Making flying a much more pleasant experience for all travelers is also a top priority for President Bush, and for me as well. Passengers simply don't have the luxury of waiting on Congress for relief, and we're not waiting either.